Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhiradhi
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuram Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Vichaitannamanubhistam Stabhitanyena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Karamaya Dadanti Swapadantikam. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Diksha and Shiksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asatarasata Sri Srimad, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asatarasata Sri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurus, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Bhagavan, the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, unto Sri Arjuna, the listener of Bhagavad Gita, and unto the lotus feet of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. I offer my humble obeisances unto all of the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are present here today. My Dandavat Pranam. So today we're going to speak on the verse from the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, number 30, which is a very, very famous verse, Apichet Sudaracharo verse. And this may take a couple of sessions because I'm going to be reading about 8 different commentaries on this one verse. So it's very important. We're just continuing along the track here. There is 3 divisions of the Gita. The first is the first 6 chapters, the last 6 chapters, and the middle 6. And we are on the middle 6. We're on the 9th chapter right now. In those middle 6 chapters, the 7th chapter is about Sambandha Gyan, the 8th chapter is about Prayojan, and the 9th chapter is about Abhideya, or process. We are following along with the narrative that is being driven by the 16 questions of Arjuna, which are pointed out by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj in the 2nd chapter, 54th verse in his purport. So the last question was Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam, which is 8.1 and 8.2. What are Brahma, what is Brahma, what is Karma, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adiyagna, and how can you be known at the time of death? All these questions are asked in the 8th chapter. And so Krishna spends the 8th and 9th chapter discussing these points all the way up to the 15th verse of the 10th chapter. It's not until verse number 16 that the next question is given by Arjuna, verse number 16 of the 10th chapter. The next question is given. So we're still continuing to answer the questions of 8.1 and 8.2. And in this particular chapter now, we are up to verse number 30. And this is a very important verse. Before verse number 30, in verse 29, Krishna says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dvesho stina priya ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So Krishna is saying that yes, he is equal to everyone. But if someone offers him service with love and devotion, patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati, then that person is a friend to Krishna. He is in Krishna, and Krishna is also a friend to him. Now, he's going to describe about those persons who offer devotional service to him, but at some point make mistakes. Apichet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadur eva samantavya samyag vyavasito hisa. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So now, Srila Prabhupada's purport, very deep purport, very profound actually, the way he explains this conception in great detail. And then we're going to look at the purports of the original Srila Sridhar Swami and the purports of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of many, many other persons I have here, many commentaries by different people that we're going to be speaking about. And we're going to be examining them and how they approach it, and they all approach it in many different ways. And then Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, comes at the whole thing along with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. They approach the entire thing from a different angle of vision, very different angle of vision. And how all of these things are harmonized is up to the individual. They can look at it from either angle of vision because Krishna is such that you can look at him as Brahman and you can look at him as Paramatma and you could look at him as Bhagavan. You could see Krishna in many different ways. And all those ways will help you to make progress in your spiritual life. Of course, ultimately, the Krishna of our heart and soul is Vrajendranandan Sham of Vrindavan, and this is whom we worship and whom we love. But in order to understand what appears to be apparently contradictory commentaries sometimes on these verses, we will study them in great depth and try to dive very deeply into the information. So Srila Prabhupada says that the word suduracharo used in this verse is very significant, and we should understand it properly. When a living entity is conditioned, he has two kinds of activities. One is conditional activity, and the other is constitutional. So now, Srila Prabhupada is, in this purport, he's referring back to some of the concepts that were presented in the second and third chapter about naimittika karma, about duties that one has in the world. And because we, jivas, living entities, are here in the material world in a conditioned state, meaning that we are influenced by the three modes of material nature, which will be described in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the last 6 chapters. The 14th chapter is in that Jnana Yoga. So, because we are conditioned by the modes of material nature due to the misuse of our minute independence, but yet we are trying, we are attempting, as Srila Narayan Maharaj used to say, to try is bhakti. We are trying to make our way in Krishna consciousness by practicing devotional service. So, Srila Prabhupada is making the point here that there's two types of activities, conditional and constitutional. As for protecting the body or abiding by the rules of society and state, certainly there are different activities, even for the devotees, in connection with the conditional life. And such activities are called conditional. Conditional because they are things that you have to perform in order to live within the world. So in order to be in the world, in order to practice bhakti yoga within the world, in order to interface with the world, then we have to be able to follow these conditional activities. We have to follow the rules, to follow the principles. And Srila Prabhupada was very clear about those things. He didn't like us to cut corners. He wanted us to follow the rules. But he makes the point in here about following the rules of society and following the principles of conditional activity in the proper mood. And you'll see what he talks about. Besides the conditional activities, besides these, the living entity who is fully conscious of his spiritual nature and is engaged in Krishna consciousness or devotional service to the Lord has activities which are called transcendental. Such activities are performed in his constitutional position. Sometimes devotional service and the conditional service in relation to the body will parallel one another, like two tracks on a train track, okay? As far as possible, a devotee is very cautious so that he does not do anything that could disrupt his wholesome condition. This is very important. He knows that perfection in his activities depends on his progressive realization of Krishna consciousness. Sometimes, however, it may be seen that a person in Krishna consciousness commits some act which may be taken as most abominable, socially or politically. But such temporary fall down does not disqualify him. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that if a person falls down but is wholeheartedly engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Lord, being situated within his heart, the Supreme Lord being situated within his heart, beautifies him and excuses him from that abomination. The material contamination is so strong that even a yogi fully engaged in the service of the Lord sometimes becomes ensnared. And there are stories about this in the Vedic literature. There was one yogi who was meditating under the water for thousands of years. And at one point, he witnessed two fish having sex. And by seeing that, he became agitated and he had to come out of his meditation. And he engaged in relations with a woman and got involved in the course of material life. So this happens. Sometimes we see this happen. We also saw that Vishwamrita was performing such powerful austerities, and he had so much power from his yogic practices that he was able to create the Milky Way in the universe. He also created buffaloes. He created the coconut tree. He did many, many things by the power of his mystic austerities. But then, when Menaka, the most beautiful dancing girl of heaven, came down before him and danced, he became distracted, and he spent 10,000 years with her. And then again, he began his practices of yoga and meditation until he achieved the goal of becoming a Brahmarishi. But sometimes there's a mistake. Sometimes even a very, as Prabhupada says here, a yogi, even a yogi, fully engaged in the service of the Lord, sometimes becomes ensnared. But Krishna consciousness is so strong that, an occasional fall down is at once rectified. Therefore, the process of devotional service is always a success. No one should deride a devotee for some accidental fall down from the ideal path. For, as it is explained in the next verse, such occasional fall downs will be stopped in due course as soon as the devotee is completely situated again in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a person who is situated in Krishna consciousness and is engaged with determination in the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, should be considered to be in the transcendental position, even if by chance or accident he is found to have fallen. The word Sadur Eva, he is saintly, are very emphatic. They are warning to the non-devotees that because of an accidental fall down, a devotee should not be derided. He should still be considered saintly even if he has fallen accidentally. And the word mantavya is still more emphatic. If one does not follow this rule and derides a devotee for his accidental fall down, then he is disobeying the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The only qualification of a devotee is to be unflinchingly and exclusively engaged in devotional service. And we'll see how this plays out later on from the commentaries of the other acharyas. Srila Prabhupada was always explaining Ananya Bhak or Ananya Bhakti as exclusive engagement in devotional service. And there is an important reason here in the West for the devotees who began practicing Krishna consciousness at the time Srila Prabhupada came and introduced us to the process of Krishna consciousness. We had no other distractions to worship any kind of demigods or any kind of deities other than Jesus Christ, who was our deity that we worship, although there was many Jewish people who worshipped Jehovah, Yahweh. But Srila Prabhupada didn't have to make the particular point that is being made by the other acharyas who are addressing people in India whose attention is diverted to the worship of other deities. And so their emphasis is on exclusive devotion to Krishna and no worship of any of the demigods. So Srila Prabhupada doesn't have to really make that point because mostly people in the West don't have that issue to deal with. Okay? The mark of a spot which may be seen on the moon does not become an impediment to the moonlight. Similarly, the accidental fall down of a devotee from the path of saintly character does not make him abominable. On the other hand, one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can act in all abominable ways. This verse only refers to an accident due to the strong power of material connections. Devotional service is more or less a declaration of war against the illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs. As previously explained, no one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve his character by devotional service, then he is understood, it is to be understood that he is not a very high devotee. So here you see Srila Prabhupada, he still does not say that the person is not a devotee. He's just a low grade devotee. He's not a very high devotee. So Srila Prabhupada is very merciful in this purport, but we'll also be quite astonished when we see the commentaries of the other acharyas on this particular verse, because they make some very astonishing claims. But Prabhupada's point, Srila Prabhupada's point is that because Srila Prabhupada was very pragmatic, very practical person, he realized that he was actually transplanting a cultural conception as well as a spiritual conception to the Western world. He understood this perfectly. And so he had to translate the cultural conception in such a way that people could understand what it meant. And so this is why he makes this emphasis. There's conditional activities, things that you have to perform. This is understood in Vedic culture as performing your duty, your dharma, okay? In Varnashram dharma, that I am a Kshatriya, or I am a Brahmin, or I am a Vaishya, or I'm a Sudra, and I have to perform my dharma, I have to perform my activities. So within Vedic culture, the understanding of this cultural substrata on which bhakti is performed or placed upon is well understood within the context of Vedic culture. But here in America, where that culture was completely foreign, Srila Prabhupada had to make us understand what were conditional activities, responsibilities that we had in society, to our family, to the government, to the laws, etc., and what were our constitutional meaning our spiritual activities that we performed as spiritual beings, as spirit soul, in the service of Krishna. So now we're going to look at the original Srila Sridhar Swami and his commentary. I say the original meaning that I'm not talking about Srila Prabhupada's god brother, who is Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami, but we're talking about Srila Sridhar Swami, who appeared in the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya and was the original commentator on both the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. And it was after his commentaries that other acharyas began making commentaries. So here's his commentary, Srila Sridhar Swami's. It's called the Subodhini Commentary on the Bhagavad Gita by Srila Sridhar Swami Pad, which he is often referred to as Srila Sridhar Swami Pad. By using the words apichet, even if, the Lord points out, just see the inconceivable influence and power of my devotional service. Even if an extremely abominable wretch pinpointedly worships me, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and does not offer separate worship to the demigods, considering them to be my parts and parcels, then such a personality should be considered as the foremost sadhu. Such a person is said to be samyag vyavasita, a properly situated person, since he is fixed in thinking, I will achieve complete fulfillment and satisfaction simply by one-pointed devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. So this is his commentary on that verse. Now we're going to look at the commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which is here in Srila Narayan Maharaj's translation, because he translated not only the verses of the Gita, but he translated the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Then he gave his own commentary in which he also included commentary by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we're going to look at these commentaries right now. So now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is going to perform his usual inner dialogue commentary, in which he's channeling Krishna's statement by paraphrasing what the verse is saying and explaining it with more details and information. So, quote unquote, Krishna speaking, "My attachment for my bhakta is natural, and even if his behavior is degraded, my attachment for him is not lost, and I make him supremely righteous." Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, for this reason, Sri Bhagavan speaks this sloka beginning with the words api chet, if even. Sudarachara means that even if he is addicted to killing others, having illicit relations with women, and being attached to others' wealth, if he engages in my exclusive bhajan, he is surely saintly. The depth of their comprehension of this verse. What type of bhajan must he perform? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is asking. In answer to this, Bhagavan says, Ananya Bhak. He is a sadhu who does not worship any devata, any of the other demigods, including Brahma, Shiva, Indra, etc., but only worships me, who does not engage in any karma or jnana, but only engages in my bhakti to me, in bhakti to me, and who does not desire any happiness such as the attainment of a kingdom, but only desires to attain me. So there is qualifications on this. Okay, you're addicted to sinful behavior, but you worship Bhagavan. Only Bhagavan, only Krishna. You don't worship Ganesha or Surya or Shiva or Brahma or any other devata. You only worship Krishna. And also, you don't engage in any karma yoga or jnana yoga. You're not looking to get any fruits of your work, and you're not looking to use your analysis of nature to liberate yourself and get moksha. You're not interested in that. Furthermore, you have no desire for happiness in this world, not even the attainment of a kingdom. So there's qualifications upon the statement. Should only desire to attain me. Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur asked the question, but where is the question of his being a sadhu if some type of bad behavior is visible in him? In response, Bhagavan says, Mantavya, he must be considered a sadhu. From the word mantavya, the following injunction is indicated. There is a flaw in that person who does not consider him to be a sadhu. In this regard, my order alone, my Krishna, my order alone is authoritative. So then Vishwanath Chakravarti says, but if a person who engages in your bhajan is also poorly behaved, can he be considered a partial sadhu? In response, Sri Bhagavan says, Eva, certainly he is to be considered a complete sadhu. One should not see that he lacks any saintly qualities because he has made a staunch resolve, samyag vyavasita. His resolve is as follows: due to my sins, whether I go to hell or to a species of birds or animals, I will never give up ekantika bhakti to Sri Krishna. So this is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation of this verse. It hinges on the dedication of the individual to serving Krishna and being disinterested in karma, jnana, yoga, and any pleasures in this material world like a kingdom or a heavenly abode. Now, we're going to take a look, before we go to Gurudev's commentary, we're going to look at some of the other commentaries in here. We've just done Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And now we're going to look at Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan, who was the primary Shiksha disciple of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The Lord says, this is the Gita Bunjaya, I think it is, I'm sorry. The Lord says, my nature of being controlled by pure devotion is almost impossible to give up for me. By using the words apichet, he indicates that the devotional service of even those devotees engaged in sinful acts attracts him. He says, if my devotee is engaged in extremely sinful acts, yet is one-pointedly devoted to me by activities such as performing kirtan or seva, then he should be considered to be a sadhu. The reason for calling him Ananya Bhak, one-pointed devotee, is that he does not worship or take shelter of any other gods besides me, and understands me only to be the supreme destination and the supreme master. In any case, such a devotee is worshipable because of his saintly qualities. This should be taken as my order, and not following it will lead to an opposite result in your spiritual life. So he's also doing inner dialogue. He's paraphrasing what Krishna means in a more extensive way by explaining this verse in this particular way, where he's saying, yet is one pointedly devoted to me by activities such as kirtan and seva. Now he's bringing it right into the realm of the practices or the limbs of bhakti that we perform. Now, the reason for the Lord calling the devotee a sadhu, in any case, is specifically by him here. The reason for the Lord calling the devotee a sadhu in any case, no matter what he does, is specified by him here. Such a devotee is properly situated, samyag vyavasita, because he has made the best resolve to be fixed on me alone. That's not, Srila Prabhupada used to say sometimes that my devotees are exclusive devotees of Krishna, my disciples. He would talk about how they had no influence or inclination to worship any other deity but Krishna. And he was very happy for that. I've been to hundreds and hundreds of people's homes in India. Many of them devotees of Krishna, either initiated by Srila Prabhupada or Srila Gurudev, or disciples of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev. And in their houses, they have altars. And in the center of their altar, they'll have Radha Krishna or Gaur Nitai or Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, whatever the case may be. And they'll have the Guru Parampara and all of that. And then you'll see some little picture in the corner. And I always ask, oh, who is this? Oh, this is the god or goddess from our village, where I was brought up, or where my family comes from. They don't let go of that little. They want to make sure that that's there, because that was what they grew up with. And this is what he's talking about. This is what all these acharyas are talking about. Their exclusive worship should be not to any other devata. And many of the other many of the villages in India, you'll see little temples to there's one, Sitala Devi. She is a form of Durga. She's a form of Durga. And she was the deity that they worshipped in order to kill the smallpox or to stop people from getting smallpox. And so people in the village used to worship that deity. And so many times you'll see the little Sitala Devi picture on the altar, to protect them, because they understand this from their childhood. They're raised with this. In the same context as what was just spoken about Samyak Vyavasita, the Nrsimha Purana also states, one who is possessed of one-pointed devotional service towards the Lord is exalted even though he may be possessed of serious contaminations, just as the moon, although covered by various dark spots, resembling a rabbit, is never to be considered as being defeated by darkness. I don't understand. That must be a mistranslation. Mistranslation.
No, it looks like a rabbit.
It looks like a rabbit.
Looks like a rabbit.
Oh, okay. Oh, the spots, the dark spots that look like a rabbit. Okay. I got it now. I remember, yes. One who is possessed of one-pointed devotional service towards the Lord is exalted, even though he may be possessed of serious contaminations, just as the moon, although covered by various dark spots, resembling a rabbit, is never to be considered as being defeated by darkness. There's actually this quote from the Nrsimha Purana is in Prabhupada's explanation of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. He quotes it. I think it's in the 18th chapter of that book. It's very interesting that this is being brought up, and he brings it up in this context about the devotees always being pure, even when it appears they have some dark spots. So now that's the commentary of Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan. So now we've heard Srila Prabhupada's commentary. We've heard Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, and the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami Pad from the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, and the commentary of Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan, who is the foremost Shiksha disciple of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and also the person whose Gita commentary was used as a foundation for Srila Prabhupada's own commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Because he talks about it in the beginning. I offer my obeisances to Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan for his Govinda Bhashya commentary, etc. So, now, another angle of vision, but yet same angle. Sripad Shankaracharya from the Advaita philosophy. He wrote a commentary called Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, and here is his explanation. By using the words apichet, the Lord says, even though someone is a sinful wretch of the worst degree, if he worships me with devotion in a one-pointed way, then such a person should be understood to be a sadhu. He is situated properly, and his resolution is fixed. So here, Shankaracharya is agreeing with the commentaries of the other Vaishnavacharyas. Now, we have a commentary by Sri Madhusudan Saraswati called the Gudhartha Dipika. And he is a Vaishnavacharya who's in the Gaudiya Vaishnav line. And Madhusudan Saraswati says, in his commentary on this verse, by using the words apichet, the Lord says, just listen. Such are the glories of my devotional service, that it harmonizes all opposing situations. Even if an extremely sinful person worships me in one pointed way, similar to the mood of Ajamil, or by some good fortune serves me, then such a person should be considered as a sadhu, although he may have exhibited the behavior of an asadhu. He is certainly a sage fixed in proper resolution. So we have talked a little bit about Ajamil before. He was a Brahmin. He was in a Brahminical family. He had followed all the Brahminical principles. And of course, in those days, in India, there was no such thing as what we didn't have MTV, and we didn't have pornography and cable television and internet and all these things where there was access to so many sinful activities. In those days, he was married. Ajamil was married. He had a wife, and he would perform the proper execution of the ritual that had to be done before trying to achieve procreation with his wife. And so, of course, there was love and there was affection between the two of them, but there was also behavior that was modified by the Brahminical practices that were performed in order to produce elevated progeny. So he had no idea of the raw passion of lust. It was not familiar to him at all. And he was in the forest one day collecting flowers and other things, and he saw a low-class Sudra man and a prostitute completely naked, engaged in passionate sexual activity. And it completely disturbed his entire mental, emotional body. He became completely distraught by seeing that. And so he fell down. And eventually, he was able to become purified because he had named the son Narayan. And Narada Muni actually had something to do with all of this, as he always does, because that's his job, to insert himself into all of this. And he actually encouraged the wife, to the prostitute woman who was Ajamil's lover, to name the child Narayan, and he encouraged Ajamil to say something nice about Narayan. There's a whole story about it, and unfortunately I don't remember the details. Maybe at some point later on I'll get it and we'll re-record it. But it's very interesting how Ajamil, by the mercy of the sadhu and by the mercy of his past devotional activities, overcomes all of the sinful activities that he performed for many, many years, simply by the mercy of Krishna. Krishna never forgets, okay? And we're going to talk about that in the next verse. First, we're going to talk about Srila Narayan Maharaj's commentary, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary will come up with Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So this is the Prakashika Vritti by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. In the present sloka, Bhagavan, who is Bhakta Vatsal, is explaining the inconceivable power of his bhakti by making a declaration. Now Srila Narayan Maharaj is doing inner dialogue, Krishna's expansive explanation of this verse, which is almost an entire paragraph. Even if, apichet, even if, my bhakta is seen to be engaged in an abominable act, I will very quickly make him an exalted person whose behavior is good. There is no possibility of bad behavior in such a perfect person, who takes shelter of my Ananya Bhakti. Even if they appear to be badly behaved in the eyes of the ignorant, in reality, they are not. In fact, they are definitely saintly. What to speak of the ignorant, even big scholars cannot understand the actions and moods of Vaishnavas. It is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigne Na Bujaya. It is not possible to understand the behavior of Uttam Adhikari Bhaktas with one's material senses. So now he seems to be applying this to an Uttam Adhikari Bhakta. So let's see where he takes us. While warning a Brahmana resident of Navadvip not to disrespect Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Shunavipra Mahadikari Yeva Haya Tabe Tana Dosha Guna Kichu Na Janmaya. This is Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Leela 626. There is no possibility of good or bad material qualities even touching an Uttam Bhagavat Maha Adhikari of Bhakti. Those who continue to view him as lowly will go to hell. Now this is an interesting point because there are some people, and I'm not going to name anyone here, in India who are very conservative in their views of how they execute devotional service. And in that conservative perspective, they believe that one should not leave India to preach in foreign countries, and that by doing so, they become contaminated. And this accusation has been leveled against both Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev for their activities by certain segments of very conservative practitioners of bhakti. And here, it is being made very clear. There is no possibility of good or bad material qualities even touching an Uttam Bhagavat Maha Adhikari Bhakti. Those who continue to view him as lowly will go to hell. Sri Krishna similarly instructed Uddhava, Namaye Kanta Bhaktanam Guna Dosha Bhava Guna Sadhunam Samachitanam Buddhe Param Upesha Upeyusham. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th Canto, 20th chapter, verse 36. There is no possibility of the piety or sin resulting from the performance of prescribed or forbidden activities coming to my ekantika bhaktas, who are free from attachment and envy, who have equal vision towards everyone, and who have attained Bhagavan, who is beyond mundane intelligence. Now, this is the verse. Now, Srila Gurudev continues, Yet, one should always remember that the apparently poor behavior of such Ananya Bhaktas is not to be imitated. One should neither criticize them, nor associate with them. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chejasam na doshaya vane sarva bujo yata. Destruction is certain for those who criticize the behavior of Mahabhagavats, who externally may appear to behave improperly. Fire burns all substances, pure or impure, although it remains pure itself. Similarly, although externally the behavior of powerful Mahapurushas may appear improper, they always remain pure. Srimad Bhagavatam describes that the sons of Marichi, who were the grandsons of Jagat Guru Brahma, had to take birth among the Asuras as a result of ridiculing Brahma's inconceivable behavior. So I think it was the Vasus. Yeah, the sons of Marichi had to take birth like this. They were criticizing Lord Brahma because of his activity with Vak, who was his daughter. And as a result, they had to take birth amongst the Asuras, but they should not be considered to be contaminated, even though They're still considered devotees. What to speak of perfected devotees? Now Gurudev brings it into the realm of us. First he talks about Mahabhagavats, who may be apparently committing activities like this. Now he's bringing it into the realm of the everyday devotee. What to speak of perfected devotees, even if the sadhaka of an Ananya Bhakta is seen to sometimes act improperly due to previous habits, he should still be considered saintly because his action is accidental. So if one becomes a sadhaka of an Ananya Bhakta, if he takes shelter of a pure devotee, a Mahapurush, Mahabhagavat, like Srila Prabhupada or Srila Gurudev, and he has some accidental fall down, he's still to be considered saintly. This is the deep meaning of this sloka. While commenting on this sloka above, commenting on the above sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, the above sloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, which we talked about, which Srila Gurudev talked about. Srila Gurudev quoted this sloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20:36. There is no possibility of the piety or sin resulting from performance of prescribed or forbidden activities coming to my ekantika bhaktas, who are free from attachment and envy, who have equal vision towards everyone, and who have attained Bhagavan, who is beyond mundane intelligence. And now, Srila Gurudev is going to give the commentary to that verse from the Bhagavatam by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Sri Krishna is saying, now Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur starts his inner dialogue, a bhakta who performs Ananya Bhajan, who does not worship any other god or goddess, who does not take shelter of any process other than my bhakti, such as karma, jnana, or yoga, who does not desire anything besides my pleasure, and what is more, who knows me as the only master and as the supreme, engages in my bhajan. Such a bhakta naturally has no taste for improper behavior. But if he accidentally, or by the will of fate, there is a discrepancy in his behavior, he should still be considered saintly. This is my special order. If a person disobeys it, he will incur sin. The reason such persons are to be considered sadhus is explained herein. It is because their resolve is proper. In other words, they have ekantika nishta, exclusive faith in me, Sri Krishna. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on the following sloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. And now he's giving, within the commentary of that verse, 11:20:36, there's also these other two verses, 11:20:27 and 28, that Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has discussed, and now Srila Gurudev is going to give that to us. Jata shradho matkatasu, nirvina sarvakaramasu, Veda dukha matkam kamam, parityage pya anishvara. Tato bhajete mam prita, shradhalur dridhanishchaya, jushmanas cha tan kaman, dukha darkams chagar hayam. He writes that the word dridha nishchaya in the phrase shradhalur dridha nishchaya means whether I'm attached to home, etc., or not, whether that attachment increases, if millions of obstacles enter my bhajan, if due to offenses I have to go to hell, or even if I am overpowered by lust, I will not accept the process of jnana, karma, or yoga under any circumstance. Even if Brahma himself orders me to do so. Those who have such determination are called dridha nishchaya. So now, Srila Gurudev is going to give Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's quotes, and then we're going to look at another way of looking at this from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that is given by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes Krishna as saying, "Even if those who engage in my bhajan with their minds completely fixed on me are badly behaved, still they should be considered saintly, because the resolve they take in their engagement is righteous in every respect and all beautiful." The meaning of the word Sudarachara must be understood properly. The behavior of a Bada Jiva is of two types: Sambandhika, conditional, and Sarupgata, constitutional. So here's where Srila Prabhupada is bringing in this conception. In his commentary, he takes in the conceptions of all the previous acharyas and uses them. Activities such as keeping clean, performing pious acts, and nourishing or satisfying the needs of the body, society, and progress of mind are called sambandhika or conditional activities. Bhajan, which is fully conscious activity performed for me, Krishna, by the jiva in his pure state, is his swarup gata or constitutional function. This function is also called a mishra bhakti or kevala bhakti. A mishra means no mixture. Mishra means mixture, mixed bhakti, like Gyan Mishra Bhakti or Karma Mishra Bhakti. But this is a mishra. A means not. A mishra bhakti. So this is a mishra bhakti or kevala bhakti, meaning exclusive devotion to Krishna. In the bound state, the jiva's performance of kevala bhakti has an irrevocable relationship with his sambandhika behavior, conditional activities. Sambandhika behavior will certainly continue as long as one has this body. He must do conditional activities. Even when Ananya Bhakti appears, even when the bound jiva, even when the conditioned soul achieves Ananya Bhakti by his practices of bhajan, still he will be bound to perform conditional activities. Srila Prabhupada had to get a passport, he had to get visas, he had to follow the rules of law that was given in the different countries that he went to. These are conditional activities that he had to follow. Only when bhakti appears does the jiva lose his taste in everything that is unfavorable to devotion. One becomes detached from sense objects to the extent that one's taste increases in Krishna bhajan. Until the taste for sense object is completely removed, it sometimes forces one to behave improperly. But it is very quickly subdued by acquiring loving tendency towards Krishna. The behavior of a person who is situated in the higher levels of bhakti is all beautiful and righteous. If sometimes accidentally a person is seen to be engaging not only in bad but evil behavior, performing activities for which a bhakta does not have a natural taste, such as killing others, taking away others' wealth, and having illicit relationships with others' wives, he will be very quickly purified by such behavior nonetheless. My bhakti, which is very powerful and purifying, is not polluted by this behavior. This should be understood. A parama bhakta should not be considered degraded because of his past indulgence in activities such as eating fish or having illicit relationships with women. So now Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives his vision, which is very similar to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan, Srila Sridhar Swami Pad, and others. However, there is another commentary that is given by Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which has a very different view. You're finding all of this interesting? Once, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a dream in which he was wandering in the sky, chanting the holy name of Krishna. He came upon the court of Yamaraj, where Yamaraj himself was sitting with Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, and others, discussing a point from the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Apichet Sudaracharo, Bhajate Mam Mananyabhak, Sadureva Samantavya, Samyag Vyavasito Hisa. The generally accepted meaning of this verse is, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is an Ananya Bhakt devotee who worships me alone in devotional service, which is free from karma and jnana, he is to be considered saintly, because his endeavors are completely on my behalf and his determination is fixed. Here, Krishna says, whatever he has done is exclusively given to myself. This is Sridhar Maharaj is talking about all of this. Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's godbrother. Whatever he has done, if he is exclusively given to myself, he should be considered as my devotee. Samyag vyavasito hi sa. And whatever he is doing is 10% right. But then the next passage says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Very soon, he will be a man of righteousness. He will become dharmatma, dutiful. As Yamaraj, Brahma, and Narada discussed this point, a question came up. Krishna says, Bhajate mam ananyabhak, one who is my exclusive devotee. The question arises, what is exclusive devotion or ananya bhajan? Krishna says, give up all other religious conceptions and surrender to me alone. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam saranam braja. That is exclusive devotion. But if one is practicing exclusive devotion, then he is already dharmatma. He is already righteous. How is it then that in the very next verse Krishna says, soon he becomes dharmatma? How are we to adjust this? Krishna says, Shipram bhavati dharmatma, savashachantim nigachati, kaunteya pratijanihi, name bhaktya pranashyati. He soon becomes righteous, dharmatma, and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. This is the general meaning of this verse. Krishna tells Arjuna, he soon becomes dharmatma. My devotee is never ruined. Go and declare this to the public. Krishna says that after the devotee becomes an anyabhak, that is, he gave up all sorts of duties and surrendered to Krishna. Then again, he will become a dutiful man? He gave up all duties and became a surrendered servant of Krishna. Now again he will become dharmatma? This was the question of Brahma, Narada, and Yamaraj as they discussed this point. Then they saw Bhaktivinoda Thakur walking in the sky and taking the holy name. Then one of them suggested, there is a pure devotee. He should be able to give the real meaning. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited in their midst and was asked, how shall we adjust these points? Krishna has said that this person is an exclusive devotee, that he has renounced all sorts of duties and surrendered to Krishna. And yet, in no time, it will be seen that he is very dutiful. How can we understand this? Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that he quickly becomes righteous refers not to the exclusive devotee in the previous verse, but one who considers the exclusive devotee pure in all circumstances. Even if he performs some abominable act, he is really a sadhu, a saint. One can think of an exclusive devotee in that way. One who can think of an exclusive devotee in that way will soon become Dharmatma. This was Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation. In this way, in my commentary on Bhagavad Gita, I have followed Bhaktivinoda Thakur's explanation. Srila Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar Swami is saying. I also saw that it was redundant to say that an Ananya Bhakta devotee becomes Dharmatma. Krishna says that an exclusive devotee should be thought of as a sadhu, an honest man, one who says that an exclusive devotee, a surrendered soul to Krishna, should be thought of as pure, whatever be his external practices. The man who is making this remark, he becomes righteous. One who says that an exclusive devotee, a surrendered soul to Krishna, should be thought of as pure, whatever be his external practices, the man who is making this remark, he becomes righteous. This is the proper conclusion. What he says is 100% truth. And the next thing Krishna says is that he who can remark in such a way will be purified very soon. Krishna says that by such appreciation of the exclusive devotee, a person will come to his external or his eternal duty. He will come to a person will soon come to his eternal duty and attain eternal peace. So I ask you, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, to go and promise in public that my exclusive devotee will never be lost. Kunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Then you will get the benefit of the man whose remark improves his life. Otherwise, why should Krishna tell Arjuna to make a public announcement that my devotee is never ruined? What effect will be there for Arjuna? But one who declares an exclusive devotee of Krishna is saintly, no matter what he does, soon becomes righteous. If Arjuna declares this, he will become Dharmatma. He will get the benefit. So Krishna tells him, you make this remark. Take a bold step. Take a risk. Make this remark. Then you will also get the benefit I have described. Of course, Arjuna is a parashad, an eternal associate of Krishna. But using him as an example, Krishna tells him, you do it. Arjuna has taken the position of the inquirer, independent of his parashad character. When I was publishing my commentary on Bhagavad Gita, a godbrother once told me, if you give such an explanation, then in the name of Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion, less advanced devotees will take advantage of this. What you are revealing here is a very hidden meaning. It is not meant for the public. It is a confidential point. Apichet sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadur eva. He may be the worst debauchee in his outer life, but if he is an anyabhak, a surrendered soul, he should be considered a really honest man. If you explain things according to your interpretation, everyone will say, oh, I am an Ananya devotee, and they will go on with their debauchery. So please, don't express this interpretation of yours so explicitly. But I publish my commentary over this objection because the principle underlying this verse is an important one. One who has surrendered to Krishna is accepted as his own. And just as Krishna has rights over everything and is never a trespasser, so his own man should never be considered a trespasser at any time. This is confirmed elsewhere in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Atma bhuyaya cha kalpate. My devotee belongs to me. So one who works by inspiration from Krishna should never be considered a trespasser. He can enjoy anything on Krishna's behalf, and if he is really surrendered, he can enjoy anything on Krishna's behalf if he is really a surrendered soul. He should be considered as Krishna's. He has free access to everything that belongs to Krishna, but considered as Krishna's. But consider some object, saying, don't be so broad in your interpretation. If you do so, then the people at large will do abominable things in the name of pure devotion. They will say, oh, I am a Vaishnava. I am a Chuta Gotra. I am of Krishna's own men. What is his property is mine. I can enjoy anything and everything. Then, of course, the question comes, how do we recognize Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion? The real trouble is here. Merely professing that I am a pure devotee won't do. Rather, a real devotee will think, I am not a real devotee. That will be his understanding, his inner feeling. Exclusive devotion is not a small thing. A genuine devotee thinks, I can't be Ananya Bhakta. I have not attained that stage. It is very difficult. Rather, I am going away from that. That will be the general tenor of his attitude. What to speak of lesser devotees? Srimati Radharani herself says, please associate me with Krishna. They say I have an illicit connection with Krishna. But what they say is all false. My grief is that I could not give my entire heart to Krishna. I cannot say that I am completely his. My internal trouble is that I could not become wholly his, and they falsely think that I am. I have no objection to becoming fully his, even to having an illicit connection with him. But that I can't become so, this is my great fault. That will be the general attitude of a real Ananya Bhakta. So now Srila Sridhar Maharaj is using statements by Srimati Radharani to show us what is the mood of a devotee who is in that mood of Ananya Bhak. Just the opposite tendency will come. The fact that one has accepted Krishna exclusively has no taste for any other thing. So really he is not durachara. He is not capable of acting in an abominable way. Internally, he is always connected with Krishna. In external life, he is indifferent. So what he is doing is not done by him. One who acts in that plane of reality may destroy thousands of universes, but does not do anything. Hatvapi sa imalokan nahanti na nibadyate. He is acting in the transcendental plane, the nirguna plane. He is not to be seen in terms of what is good or bad in the calculation of this world. He is absent here. What is in connection to Krishna, with Krishna is all good. It is nirguna, transcendental, without material qualities. In this world, truth is a relative thing. This is true, this is not true. This is mine, this is yours. What value do these things have? If a devotee steals a flower for Krishna, you may say, oh, why are you stealing my flower? But what is the guarantee that the flower belongs to you. These are different stages of bogus conceptions of reality. A man who has possession of some land declares himself the owner. Then a big landowner comes and says, "You are not the owner. I have real possession of this land. I have allowed you to use it." But beyond the landowner, a king may come and say, "Oh no, this is my land. Your ownership is relative. I am the true ruler of this land. It belongs to me." In this way, one relative conception of truth fights with another, and morality stands only on this conception. This is mine, and this is yours. All these conceptions of ownership are false. All these transactions of morality are false, because they are not in connection with the supreme truth. So the devotee's apparent misbehavior is quite the contrary in reality. Daivate Bhadra Bhadra Jnana Sabha Manodharma E Bala E Manda E Sabha Brahma. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila 4, verse 176. In this material world, conceptions of good and bad, or right and wrong, are all mental concoctions. Therefore, saying, "This is good and this is bad," is all a mistake. So in the deepest plane of reality, the deepest wave of Krishna consciousness is moving. And there so many jiva souls, so many jiva souls are dancing in that deep wave of Krishna consciousness. And that dance is the absolute dance, wherein everything surrenders to Krishna in the mood of Vrindavan. Sarvadharman parityajya mame kam. Everything belongs to Krishna. And for his satisfaction, anything and everything can be done. This is the only principle followed by the exclusive devotees, without caring for the many relative demands and strictures of this false plane. That is nirguna, transcendental. In that plane, the calculation of false ownership can't be applied. All claims of ownership have no value in Krishna consciousness. And there is another point that may also be considered in this verse. Once Parasara Muni was crossing a river. A young lady was piloting the boat. As the boat reached the middle of the river, Parasara suddenly became charmed by that young lady. He proposed that they unite, and they did. As a result of their union, Vedavyas was born. Parasara was already a man of higher sense control. But the time had come for the birth of Vyas, and this created a necessity at a particular stage in him. Suddenly, he was overwhelmed by lust and united with that lady. From this union came Vyasadeva, the compiler of all the Vedic scriptures. So this was the determination of the universal will. Parasara is not to be accused or condemned. He is not a party to that. He is an instrument of the universal will. We should not consider this an event of lustfulness and criticize Parasara for his immoral actions. He was inspired by some inner will and overpowered by the divine force of the nirguna will of Krishna. Only then did these things take place. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that it is not the action, but the background of the action that is to be considered. That is to be examined, not the action alone, the motive underlying the action, not the karma, but the purpose. That is the culprit. Draupadi had 5 husbands, but not of her own accord. she had to accept the trouble as her duty. She did not do so for the sake of pleasure. So Draupadi should not be held responsible for this. It cannot be said that she is unchaste. She cannot be held responsible for having many husbands. It is said that in the Shastra that Draupadi or Kunti may seem to be unchaste, but if you chant their names, you will be purified. So the internal meaning of an act, its purpose, should be considered, not the external action. That's because Kunti was married to Pandu, and he could not give her children. So she used the mantra to have children with Yamaraj. Yudhisthira was born. With Indra, Arjuna was born. And with Vayu, and Bhima was born. And then she arranged for Madri, the other wife of Pandu, to chant the mantra, and the Ashwini Kumaras came, and she had relations with both of them, and then the twins, Nakula and Sahadev, were born. So,
And Karna.
Karna was with the sun god. That was before she was married to Pandu. So, someone may say that Kunti, who had relations with 4 different demigods, is unchaste, like Draupadi, who had 5 husbands. But that's not the external action. There's something deeper. It is said in the Shastra that Draupadi or Kunti may seem to be unchaste, but if you chant their names, you will be purified. So the internal meaning of an act, its purpose, should be considered, not the external action. They were not doing it for pleasure. They were doing it out of duty. The higher principle is served not by following ordinary law, but by following some higher law. In that case, the ordinary law is surpassed. One might think a devotee a culprit from the consideration of ordinary law. But from the consideration of higher law, Krishna has said that if you can appreciate their law-breaking, you will be uplifted. Anjanayaivam gunan doshan mayadishtan api svakan dharmam santyajya ya sarvan mam bhajeta satu sattama. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 11:11:32. Krishna says, the rules of the scripture come from my direction, my order. But if anyone breaks those rules to satisfy me, he should be considered a better devotee. Sometimes it may be necessary to show even greater loyalty to the king by crossing over the laws of the king. So here God is above law. When we consider the nature of divinity, we must conclude that Krishna is above the law. When we consider the nature of divinity, Krishna is above the law. Law is for us, but law may not be applied in his case. He, Krishna, is absolute. When one has actually come in connection with the absolute, he cannot but ignore the laws meant for ordinary people. Of course, this means in a higher sense, it is not that devotees shall not observe the ordinary laws governing society in the name of devotion. But in the higher sense, we have to understand that Krishna is all in all. He is the creator of law, and he himself sometimes breaks the law, and especially likes those who are ready to break the law for him. They are his favorite, who are ready to take risks for his service, who are ready to bear the consequence of breaking the law. Hence, Srila Saraswati Thakur, when he invited the governor, British governor of West Bengal, outside the temple property, he had a tent erected and hired cooks who were Brahmins in the line of Durga and Kali to make goat meat to feed the governor of West Bengal, the English governor. And he told Van Maharaj, who went to England, that if you have to cook meat for everyone, then cook it. But get them to chant. And when Harikesh complained to Srila Prabhupada that if I go to Russia to preach, I won't be able to get any vegetarian food, what will happen to my consciousness? Prabhupada responded, damn your consciousness. Go preach. So this is an example of what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is saying here. By breaking the law for the higher good of getting someone connected to Krishna, then it's okay. Not for your pleasure. They are his favorite, who are ready to take risks for his service, who are ready to bear the consequences of breaking the law. This is the nature of Krishna's entire Vraj Leela in Vrindavan. All considerations of individual and local interest are sacrificed. In Vrindavan, there is the highest self-sacrifice, to the degree that everyone's own particular interest or consideration is sacrificed into fire. Only when you come to that stage of self-sacrifice can you take birth in Vrindavan, not before. This is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishami masujaha. Krishna says, you must risk all your prospects. You must risk everything with no prospect other than myself. I cannot tolerate the presence of any second entity in your heart. I cannot tolerate that you will come to me with some consideration. My relation with you must be unconditional. I can't tolerate any other interest in the heart of my devotee. Only one interest, and that is me. Sacrifice all your so-called interests, all your prospects, everything. Then you can come to meet me in Vrindavan. This is Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary on 930. Apichet suracharo bhajate mamananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyagvya vasita shrita. Very powerful, very powerful. And now we have heard all the commentaries of all the great acharyas on this verse. We have learned many, many deep things. So one should try to understand the import of what's being said here. And tomorrow, or the next time we speak, we will go over the verse, the following verse, Shipram Bhavati Bharata, because Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary leads into that verse with the statements of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we'll discuss that tomorrow. But the essence of what everyone is saying is, as Srila Gurudev put it, one who is an Ananya Bhakta, or even one who is a sadhaka of an Ananya Bhakta. And if their intentions, this is what Srila Sridhar Maharaj is pointing out, what's the underlying consideration? Are the intentions to serve Krishna? Are the intentions to satisfy him? Parasara Muni's intention was not to be lusty and enjoy. Draupadi's intention was not to have 5 husbands and enjoy the prospect. Kunti's intention was never to enjoy relations with so many demigods. All of this was done with another underlying reason, another underlying purpose. And so it appears that the law is broken. The gopis leave their husbands, their fathers, their children, all of the people to whom they have duties and responsibilities in Vedic culture are left behind for the purpose of giving pleasure to Krishna. And this is what makes them the greatest devotees. This is why Srila Sridhar Maharaj is making this point. You can't go to Vrindavan unless you have that mood, that I will give up everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, even if it means that I have to break the laws of society. Although Srila Sridhar Maharaj makes it very clear that for the common sadhaka to try and break the laws of society with the idea of I can get away with anything for Krishna is not the proper mood. The intentions, what is the intention? Am I doing this to please Krishna, or am I doing this so I can get away with murder, to say it bluntly? So this is the key. This is the key. Everything is about your intentions. Everything is about your intentions. So this is the material world. It is very difficult here. We're trying to practice bhakti yoga, and at the same time there's an onslaught of material nature on our consciousness, because as Prabhupada says, we've declared war against material nature. We've told Maya we're leaving. We're going back. We want to go to Krishna. We want to be with Krishna. We don't want to be here with you anymore. And so Maya is going to do everything that she can to keep us locked up here. That's her job. That's her service to Krishna. And so we can't fault her for that. It is a thankless task. So in the wake of the onslaught of material nature, if we can practice devotional service to Krishna without becoming distracted by karma, jnana, yoga, demigods, devatas, desires for wealth, fame, beauty, power, or any of the opulences, if we can manage to at least have that intention, then our mistakes will be overlooked and forgiven. And very quickly we will become righteous, and those who see us in that light, they will also become righteous. This is the conclusion of the commentaries on 9:30 in the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
It's not possible for me to memorize all those commentaries. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare